Get more analysis on the attempted assassination of former U.S. President Donald Trump. Let's welcome Professor Christopher Isike from the African Center for U.S. Studies. Professor, thank you for joining us. I hope you can hear us this time. So basically, I want to get your reaction to the news of this incident.
Good day, and thank you for having me. It's not been very shocking for most observers of U.S. politics, considering the kind of rhetoric that coming out from both parties, the Democrats, especially from the very divisive candidate like President Trump. And also, if you consider that this is something that is common with American politics, the violence, the idea of using guns to settle different, not uncommon, to hear about these kinds of incidents. They've had a former president killed while in office at JFK in 1960. Recently, we've had the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi. Her house was burgled by someone who whacked her husband, who over 80 years old. So these kinds of violence is commonplace, but never usually at this level for a very long time now, where a candidate is shot at for his political views otherwise.
Prof, such a brazen attack in almost full view of the Secret Service detail, whom we understand comb the areas where these type of gatherings actually take place with a fine-tooth comb. So how do you think this one was even possible?
Well, that's a question that will have to be looked into by the relevant investigation bodies. I even hear that the Speaker of the House of Representatives has indicated that there will be an investigation on their side as well. I think that if you look at it overall, there's been a security lapse, considering that this was less than 200 meters. I had actually thought it was 500 meters yesterday, but upon further reading, I found out that it was about 150 yards, which is less than 200 meters from the venue where the president was speaking. So that is within shooting range. And usually when they do their security cordon, any area that is within shooting range is included in their cordon. So it is difficult to understand why this was possible in the first place.
Absolutely. Now, do you feel that there is a political reason, Prof, behind this shooting, or this could just be a solo act of an individual who has certain views against Trump? And one might even go as far as asking then who stands to benefit the most in the event that Donald Trump is assassinated without casting any aspersions. Of course, I know you made a mention of the fact that some of the former presidents in the U.S. have been, of course, killed in this type of manner.
Well, the motives are not clear yet. The investigators, the FBI, have not come out with any certainty around the motive for this shooting, but the shooter has been identified, a 20-year-old white male who is a registered Republican. So that takes away any kind of weight that the Republican Party and Trump himself would have used, because there were already accusations from top members of the Republican Party that this was a Democrat's effort to try and kill former President Trump. But now that it has been proven that the person is a registered Republican, that takes away some sail from that particular wind, right? So we will need to see what happens, whether this was someone who was not happy with Trump in terms of how conservative he expected him to be, or if he became too conservative for his liking. We will have to see what happens from the investigation in the coming days.
Now, in closing, Prof, interesting enough is that the U.S. is quite liberal, so to speak, when it comes to their gun laws. We have seen shocking incidents of mass shootings at schools and other places where countless lives were lost, including little children, due to deranged individual acts. Is it maybe time that the U.S. started relooking their gun laws?
Yeah, that's another consequence that will come from this political consequence for the Democrats, because they've been calling for gun control for years now, and the Republicans, including Trump himself, have always, wielded the Second Amendment right to carry arms as their reason for ensuring that gun control is limited. And interestingly, this assassin was actually wearing a Second Amendment T-shirt when he was killed. So that imagery itself shows that he is wielding his right to carry guns. So I think that the Democrats would get some political mileage from this and make a case for why there should be control, because, I mean, they can ask questions around why a 20-year-old will have access to an assault rifle so that can be targeted like a former president, in this case Trump himself, who supports the Second Amendment rights.
And Prof, just a quick one. I mean, there's been this narrative that this whole thing has actually just been staged in order to get, some sort of sympathy for Donald Trump ahead of the upcoming elections in November. What is your view?
Well, that was I heard those views, I saw those views, and then if you also look at the fact that when he was first shot at, if you look at the imagery, showed that he put his hand in his ears to see if there was blood. There was no blood immediately visible. Then he ducked. When he came up again after being rescued or being stood up by the security agents, there was this blood. And then if you saw how he had the presence of mind to thump his fist and say fight, 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 you would wonder whether there was some preparation, because it's not sometimes very natural for someone to escape that kind of attempt at his life and then still have the presence of mind to be political, to remember that there needs to be some imagery, some mileage from this for him, right? But now that the shooter has been identified as white, as male American, not an immigrant, not black, someone that has records within the country, it would be interesting to begin to think that someone was paid to kill themselves in order for Trump to get mileage out of this. So it's easy to actually dismiss that kind of conspiracy theory.